Hotep, fam. Hotep. Kevin X, back at you again. This is the homosexuality of Jesus. I know that might be a hard pill to swallow for some of y'all people, especially my girlfriend Patricia. But here it goes. The X gonna bring it to you. But I'm gonna start off. You can go to John. This is in John 19. Well, let's say John 20. John 20 John 20 verse 2. Then she ran and came to Simon Peter and to the other disciple whom Jesus loved. Whom Jesus loved, and said to them, whom Jesus loved, and said to them, they have taken away the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him. Now, we could also go back over to John 21. It's talking about Jesus being loved again. Then Peter, turning around, saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following, who also had leaned on his breast at the supper, and said, Lord, who is the one who betrays you? See, they do that leaning on the breast shit, because that's part of their symbol. Take a good look at that. That's part of their symbol. That's what they do, Jesus and John. But nevertheless, even in this one, it looked like he's getting ready to have oral sex with him. Take a good look at this. You know, what is he doing down there? Take a good look. The X gonna bring it to you. And, you know, we have to question this. You know, I did another video about the marriage of Jesus, and it doesn't say if he married a man or a woman, but most likely it might have been the marriage of a man. And that's why Judas wound up hanging himself after they killed his lover. You know, and Mary, she might have been pregnant too by the same homosexual. But we can find out who Jesus was in love with, because sometimes I get questions about that. Well, what do it say? Well, we'll find out. We'll go to, I think that's Matthew 13. Let's go to Matthew 13 and see what Matthew 13 has to say. You'll be amazed sometimes. People be trying to go buy the book and don't go in the book. It might not be in that. It might be John 13. Let me see. Let me get this right. Yeah, that's John 13, not Matthew. I'm sorry. John 13. So much stuff running through my head. I'll be trying to get too much out sometimes. But here we go. We're at John 13. It says, this is John 13, verse 23. Now, there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples whom Jesus loved. 24. Simon Peter therefore motioned him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. Then leaning back on Jesus' breast, he said to him, leaning back on his breast, Lord, who is it? Jesus answered, it is he whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it. And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. And that's who Jesus was having a sexual affair with. And it even goes further. I'm going to get into this is where, you know, he took it to the kids, and the disciples, they rebuked it. They rebuked the kids because they didn't want to be touching them kids the way Jesus wanted to touch them. And where you go in this is, you go to Matthew 19. It'll tell this story. And it says, you can start, this is Matthew 19. I'm going to start from verse 10. It says, his disciples said to him, if such is the case. Now, let me start from 9. It says, and I say to you, who, this is chapter 19, Matthew 19, verse 9. And I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, except for sexual immorality, and this other Bible says this too. This is 9. Let me show you what's in this other Bible. It says, and I say to you, whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery, and whoso marrieth her which is put away, doeth commit adultery. So they saying except fornication. This is who they talking about, her or the husband. He want to be a homosexual now. He want to get rid of his wife. Well, let's go further on and we'll talk about this. And so it says in 10, his disciples said to him, if such is the case of the man with his wife, is it better not to marry? Not to marry to mess with that man. So, Jesus saying in 11, but he said to them, all cannot accept this saying, but only those to whom it has been given. Now let me read this in the other Bible. It says, but he said unto them, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. Now we're going to go down to 12. And he says, for there are eunuchs who were born thus from their mother's womb. And there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men. And there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. Now, let's go back. An eunuch, you can look this up in the dictionary. An eunuch is supposed to be a castrated man. Now, it's supposed to be 3 types of eunuchs, and they telling you right here in the Bible. Now, the number 1 eunuch is eunuchs who were born thus from their mother's womb. These are people, not necessarily with their penises removed, but people that's already born with feminine values and feminine attributes, I guess. And they become homosexuals, or some people call them gay men. Then number 2, and there are eunuchs who were made eunuchs by men. These are the eunuchs who they talking about in the dictionary, who was castrated by other men. And then they probably had sex with them through their anus. Then you have 3, and there are eunuchs who have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sakes. That's people that just chose to be like a woman, tried to be like a woman. Homosexuals. Now they might call them drag queens or whatever, and all kind of other names for them. But that's what it says in there. And we have to realize that, you know, it's people don't be reading and following the symbols that the churches be having and the pictures and photos and stuff that they be having. But let's go on. We're going to see what he's doing with the children now. But Jesus said, let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. So what are you going to make them homosexuals to be in the kingdom of heaven? You know, this is almost what he's saying. You have to be a homosexual to be in the kingdom of heaven. In 15, and he laid hands on them and departed. But let me finish reading 14. But Jesus said, let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. But 13 says, the little children were brought to him, that he might put his hands on them and pray. But the disciples rebuked them. And Jesus liked the kids. Here's a video. You can see Jesus with the kids. I mean, a picture. See that? Yeah, what are you doing down on the floor with him? I'm going to show you something else with him, too. This is deep. You know, this is their symbols. You have to pay good attention to this. This is Jesus with these kids sitting on his lap. That's how people be molesting the children. Our children, too. And black folks is doing it, too. You know, molesting the kids. Get them at a young adult. Tell them they're going to go to hell if they don't do this or that. Sizing them up. You know, we have to stop letting them size them up. You know, and that's the same picture as this. Look at that. Don't let your kids sit on no Santa Claus lap. You should start seeing what Santa Claus is really about. He's a pedophile. It's the renewing of a new butt to break into. That's what they celebrate Christmas for. That's the new sun. They got a new one to mess with. Look how he's looking down at it. Can't wait to go up in it. And this is probably going to conclude my video, the homosexuality of Jesus. It's a hard pill to swallow for some people, but, you know, you have to do your history, and it's a lot of other things. King James also was a homosexual. Michelangelo was a homosexual. And Leonardo also, Da Vinci, was a homosexual. And I'll probably be doing other videos on them. But until next time, hope tech. I hope I might could teach you something and pass it along. Till next time, peace.